Everybody, it's Brian here at the B-Dubs Movie Hub, and I have a movie franchise ranking for you today. It's almost St. Patrick's Day. It might be St. Patrick's Day by the time I post this, but let's rank the Leprechaun franchise. So they spent the better part of last week uh, rewatching the first Leprechaun because it's the only one I have seen, and then kind of checking out the the sequels here. So I have the 7 film set here on Blu-ray Steelbook, and then I have Leprechaun Returns on Blu-ray as well. Most of these I had never seen. I had only seen the original prior to kind of diving into the rest of these here. But I wanted to do a movie ranking here, and I figured this is the perfect time to do the Leprechaun series. So let's get to it. There are 8 movies in this franchise, and one of them doesn't belong. I really feel like number 8 on this list just should not have been part of the Leprechaun franchise at all. And that's Leprechaun Origins. This movie came out in 2014. It was produced by WWE. Leprechaun Origins is about 2 young couples backpacking through Ireland, and they discover that one of Ireland's most infamous legends is a terrifying reality. It stars Stephanie Bennett, Andrew Dunbar, Melissa Roxburgh, Brendan Fletcher, and Dylan Postel, also known as Hornswoggle from the WWE. He plays the Leprechaun. I'm putting that in quotes because there's no Leprechaun in this movie. This movie is absolute trash. I don't know how they even decided to make this part of the franchise at all. Outside of it taking place in Ireland, there is no Leprechaun in this movie whatsoever. It's like a weird looking monster. It's nothing like anything else in the franchise. It's absolute garbage. There was no comedy in this at all. The original movie, along with most of the sequels, are basically horror comedies. There's nothing funny in this movie. Warwick Davis did not return, and that's kind of understandable. He was getting older, but he's replaced by Hornswoggle, who's barely in the movie. The images of this leprechaun that you do get are blurry for the most part. Probably up until the end, you get a little bit of, a vision of it, like a view of his face. But for the most part, you can't really see. The blurred camera effects bothered the hell out of me. I just did not like those at all. It's in this set, which is unfortunate because it doesn't even look like all the rest here. You have Warwick Davis is on basically the cover of all of them, and then Origins is just this disc here, but it's just a terrible, terrible movie, and it really does not belong in this franchise, so it's number 8 in my ranking, and I fucking hated it. Moving on to number 7 in my ranking, and that is Leprechaun Back to the Hood. This was done in 2003. It was directed by Stephen Aramului. I definitely mispronounced that, and I apologize. Back to the Hood is about Emily Woodrow and her friends happen on a treasure chest full of gold coins. They fail to heed the warnings of a wise old psychic who had foretold that they would encounter trouble with a very nasty and protective leprechaun. Warwick Davis is in this one as the titular leprechaun. You also have Tangi Miller, Laz Alonso, Paige Kennedy, Sherry Jackson. This was the follow-up to Leprechaun in the Hood. This one, unfortunately Warwick Davis couldn't save this one. He's good in it. This was his last Leprechaun film, but it was just poorly written, mostly poorly acted. I think Davis did what he could do. Laz Alonso was all right. If that name sounds familiar, it's because he is in Amazon's The Boys. He plays Mother's Milk in that. He's great. He's a great actor. He's fantastic in The Boys, and he does a pretty good job in Leprechaun Back to the Hood. but it is number 7 on my list. It was definitely missing a lot of the funny Leprechaun dialogue that we do get throughout some of the other films that kind of makes the Leprechaun movies a little bit more humorous. I mean, again, they're not the funniest horror movies, but uh, but yeah, it was missing a little bit of that. It was just not very well done at all. So that's Leprechaun Back to the Hood at number 7. Number 6, I chose to put Leprechaun in the Hood here, so it's a step above Back to the Hood. This was done in 2000. It was directed by Rob Spira. Stars Warwick Davis, Ice-T, Anthony Montgomery, Rashawn Nall, Red Grant. So this one is about 3 rappers who are looking to make it big. They take a demo to Mac Daddy, who's played by Ice-T's character. They end up robbing him of this magical flute that he had stolen, 20 or something years earlier, which turns out belonged to the Leprechaun. So this awakens the Leprechaun. He goes on his killing spree. It's all right. Again, not very well acted. Ice-T and Warwick Davis did a really good job in this one, but kind of the three guys, Butch, Postmaster P, and Stray Bullet. I'm not sure which actors played which, but just not very well done. The music was not really my taste. I didn't really like the music that was in it. They actually kind of reused a lot of the methods from part 3 in here. There's some definitely similarities and takes things that they did in Leprechaun 3 that they reused here. So not a lot of originality with that, but there's not a lot of continuity between these movies, and this one really is no different. Zero continuity from movie to movie, but overall, just not a great entry into the Leprechaun franchise. I did like how they ended this one, though. It was a little bit different than every other movie in the franchise, which was kind of nice to see. It was just a little bit of a switch up on how they the direction that they went with the ending of the film. So I did enjoy that aspect of it, but overall, still not a great movie, and that's why Leprechaun in the Hood is number 6 on this list. So number 5 on my list of Leprechaun movies is Leprechaun 4 in Space, which I hate the title of. It should have just been called Leprechaun in Space. Leprechaun 4 in Space is stupid. That is just my opinion on the title of this movie, but it is number 5 on my list. On a planet in a distant galaxy, a power-hungry leprechaun holds a beautiful alien princess hostage in order to marry her for her royal title. It stars Warwick Davis, Brent Jasmer, Jessica Collins, Guy Sinner, Gary Grossman, and Debbie Dunning. If Debbie Dunning sounds familiar, it's because she was on Home Improvement. This movie is from 1997, and it was directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. Overall, just a really weird entry. I think this is at a time where horror movies were diving into the space aspect of it. The graphics on this are pretty rough, pretty dated. Again, there's no continuity in any of these movies, so there's no explanation as to why he's in space, how he got there, but you have these kind of space mercenaries that are hunting him down. Warwick Davis is, again, really good. He kind of carries these movies, the ones that he's in, but overall, an okay movie, not the best in the franchise by far, but yeah, I just think they kind of needed somewhere to go with this, and they decided to throw the Leprechaun in space and give it a dumb title. Again, Leprechaun 4 in Space. It's just a weird title for this movie. All right, so moving on to number 4 on my list. This one I actually found kind of surprising that it ended up being kind of midway of this list. I figured this would be more toward the bottom of my list, and that's Leprechaun Returns. This is the final movie. Well, this is the last movie that they've done in the franchise. They might be doing another one, but I think it's going to be more of a reboot, re-imaging. I'm not sure if it's going to follow suit of this exact story, but it's not bad. This one was done in 2018. It was directed by Steven Kostanski. It stars Taylor Spratler, Pepe Sangua, Cy Bennett, Emily Reed, Ben McGregor, Oliver Llewellyn Jenkins, Mark Holton. He returns playing Ozzy, who was the same actor and character from the very first movie. So it was really nice to see him kind of come back and reprise his role. Then you have Lyndon Porco stepping in as the Leprechaun character. It's a little bit different of a look. I'll show it there. Than the than this one right here. But sorry for the glare. But a little bit different of a look. But again, it's different makeup and all that. But I was kind of surprised by this one. A group of unwitting sorority sisters accidentally awaken a serial killing leprechaun after they build a sorority house on his hunting grounds. So the movie is basically a direct sequel to the very first one. I think it kind of disregards everything that was done in between, which is fine. The character of Lila, played by Taylor Spreitler, is actually the daughter of Jennifer Aniston's character from the original movie. So it kind of comes full circle there that it's related to the original movie. It also takes place at the same house as the original movie. So just kind of a nice way to kind of bring it full circle with the original. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Lyndon Porco did a really good job stepping into the role. He's no Warwick Davis, but he really did. He did justice to the role. It's not a perfect sequel by any means of the terms, but it is a pretty decent one. Like I said, it was really nice to see Mark Holton return as the Ozzy character from the original, and they actually had a voice actress do some voiceover work technically, because when the Leprechaun speaks in Tori's voice, she sounds just like Jennifer Aniston. So really good job on that actress's part. But yeah, overall, I was kind of surprised by this one. I think it was actually pretty decent, and that's why Leprechaun Returns is number 4 on my list. Moving into the top 3 on my Leprechaun movie ranking list. I actually am going with Leprechaun 3. This one was done in 1995. This was also directed by Brian Trenchard Smith. This one takes place in Las Vegas. All the lights are flashing brightly until a man with one hand, one eye, and one leg walks into a pawn shop with a statue of a hideous-looking leprechaun. The owner claims it's luck of charm. The statue also wore a medallion around its neck. The careless pawn shop owner took off the medallion, setting the leprechaun free. So this one stars, again, Warwick Davis as the leprechaun, John Gattens, Lee Armstrong, John DeMita, Michael Callan, Caroline Williams, Linda Shane. So this one was decent. I think, again, as far as like sequels go, this was kind of good, and to be honest with you, it could have my top 3 really could have gone any which way. I think as far as sequels go, this one was as good as the first and even the second one. Warwick Davis, again, just kills it. He's so good in this role. I didn't really like it as much as the top 2 that are on my list, but it was a pretty decent horror comedy. There's some really fun kills in this one as well. I don't think I talked about much of the kills in any of the other ones, but the first 3 movies had some of the better kills throughout the franchise. So that is Leprechaun 3 at number 3 on my ranking list. So number 2, and again, I think 1 and 2 here could have gone either way, but at number 2, I'm putting the very first Leprechaun. This is from 1993. It was written and directed by Mark Jones, who also did Rumpelstiltskin a couple years after this. You have a demonic leprechaun terrorizing a group of young people whom he believes stole his gold. This is where we get introduced to Warwick Davis as the leprechaun. You also have Jennifer Aniston, Ken Oland, Mark Holton as Ozzy. I had a lot of fun rewatching this one because it had just been a very long time, and just some real nostalgia with the character and Jennifer Aniston. It was kind of an early role for her. So this really is kind of just a mildly entertaining horror comedy. Warwick Davis is fantastic. Jennifer Aniston does a really good job. We get some really good makeup and practical effects in here, some fun kills. throughout the movie. I don't think he's the biggest horror icon out there. You can't really rank him up there with the likes of, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, but I think this was the start of a really fun character by Warwick Davis, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. The original Leprechaun is number 2 on my list, and that of course brings us to number 1, which is going to be Leprechaun Part 2. This was done in 1994. It was directed by Rodman Flender. We get Warwick Davis, Charlie Heath, Siobhan Durkin. 1,000 years ago, the leprechaun left a bloody trail when he ripped through the countryside in search of his stolen gold. Now he's back in the big city, using all of his deadly tricks to snare the girl of his nightmares. So this one takes place, I believe this is in LA. I think I like this one a little bit more than the original because of the story. I think there was just a little bit more meat to the bone on this one. Warwick Davis is... Again, I think he killed it in this role. I mean, he was perfect, really kind of throughout the entire, 6 movies that he did do, but I just thought he was really good in this one. The rest of the acting wasn't great, but it was a pretty good 90s horror comedy. Warwick Davis, I really feel like, was just born for this role and just kind of does such a fantastic job throughout this entire franchise. So yeah, that is Leprechaun 2 in the number 1 spot on this ranking. I will just show off the 7 film set here again. It's kind of nice. You got like some nice artwork on the inside. You get all the gold coins on the inside here, which is kind of neat. Warwick Davis is on the disc for each film, with the exception of the last one since he's not in that. But yeah, I think overall it's a nice little set. I think I got this at FYE for like $20 back in the day. And then of course there was the Leprechaun Return. So this I think came out after this 7th film set was released. They're all done by Lionsgate, so I mean they probably will do, another set at some point of this. I could see like a whole box set for these coming out, but I'm content with these. I think overall, outside of Origins, I think this is a pretty fun franchise. It's not the perfect franchise. It's not the perfect, horror comedy series, but I really enjoyed watching these, with the exception of Leprechaun Origins. Again, fuck you WWE for that piece of trash movie. Really big bag of shit. I'm just really upset with that movie. It was just not good. But again, I mean, overall, it was a fun franchise. I had fun watching them last week. So let me know down in the comments below, what is your ranking of the entire Leprechaun franchise? Let me know if you've seen them. If you haven't, are you planning to watch them now? That it's kind of the season to watch it. Watching those in March. But yeah, let me know. Let me know down in the comments your thoughts on these. I hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share this out with your friends. I am on Letterboxd, Instagram, and Facebook. I will drop a link to all those down in the description box below. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Fuck you, Lucky Charms.